Ladies and gentlemen, it's an Oktoberfest miracle. Over the weekend, conservatives had back-to-back major victories, first in the Czech Republic's regional elections, and then in the Brandenburg state election in Germany. And of course, next week is the Austrian general election, which is poised to be explosive as well. Now, in Brandenburg, Alternative für Deutschland, or AfD, they are the opposition conservative party in Germany. They got about 29.2%. The Social Democrats, the SPD, just barely eked out first place. They just barely got more votes. They surged in the polls during the last few days because people in other parties were telling people in their own party to vote for the Social Democrats solely to deny the AfD the first place spot. A purely ceremonial, symbolic victory because they already all agree to a cordon sanitaire around the AfD. So the AfD was not going to be allowed to form a coalition anyway. So purely symbolic. Well, here's the thing. A few days ago in the community section of this YouTube channel, I said, look, Die Linke is going to lose all their seats. The Free Voters are going to lose all their seats, and the Green Party is on the edge. If the Green Party also loses all their seats, then AfD has a very serious chance of getting minority blocking power in Brandenburg. Now, a lot of the most important legislation needs a 2/3 majority to pass. So if you get 33.4% of the seats, you can block this legislation. And so even if there's a cordon sanitaire around your party and you're being denied access to ruling coalitions, you can wield this minority blocking power. And so I recently did a video about the election results in Saxony and Thuringia. Initially, it was reported that the AfD had won minority blocking power in both of those states. Then they said there was a computer error and they took a seat away in Saxony. But there's, I believe it's called an overhang seat. There's this mayor that's real popular, and he won a seat outright, but his party didn't get proportional representation, and he's probably going to sit with the AfD. So most likely, the AfD will now have minority blocking power in a 3-state block. And I predicted that people moving to the SPD could result in the AfD getting more seats. I said this, how did I know this? But the minister president of Saxony, who is a member of the CDU, was telling people in Brandenburg to vote SPD against his own party to symbolically hurt the AfD when it should have been easy to tell that that would have actually helped the AfD by giving them more seats. How did I know that, see that, figure it out? But major German politicians apparently don't know how their own system works. Now, they had regional elections in the Czech Republic. There's 13 regions in the city of Prague, which is its own entity. The people in Prague did not vote. Now, Prague is the left-wing stronghold of the Czech Republic, but in this election, the whole rest of the country, the left wing is just wiped out. So imagine if the U.S. Congress was just hardline conservative Republicans versus neocon rhinos, and there was no Democrats. I mean, that's practically what has happened in regional elections. Now, in the aftermath of the EU election, Andrej Babiš's party, ANO, which means yes, he's the billionaire who started the Big Tent Populist Party not so long ago. Well, he announced that he was leaving the centrist EU group, which is known as Renew, and he was launching Patriots of Europe with Viktor Orbán of Fidesz and the Austrian Freedom Party. Now, this was a really bold move and a huge shock. And overnight, he went from, kind of sort of being unliked by the media to being attacked and called far right. overnight. And there was a big question about what the repercussions would be in Czech elections. Like, how is this going to play out? Well, apparently the people loved it. And Andrej Babiš and ANO, they're steamrolling back into power now. So there's 685 seats. Some sources, some media are saying 675, but then all the official results I see show 685 winners. Each region has between 45 and 65 seats. Now, mainstream media outlets are claiming that ANO won first place in 10 out of the 13, except when I look at the official results, it appears to be 11 out of the 13. There's one region where a local regional party came in first place, and then in South Bohemia, the Civic Democrats came in first place because there was major flooding, and the governor, everybody liked how he handled it, and so he turned into the local hero, and he's part of the Civic Democrats, so they voted for him. But pretty much across the country, ANO dominated. So they went from 178 seats to 292, almost 43% of all these seats. Then you have the SPD, which is allied with the AfD in Germany. They're part of the AfD's EU alliance, Europe of Sovereign Nations. Well, SPD, along with some other allied parties, they collectively got 41 seats, or another 6% of the seats. And then you've got a bunch of center-right parties. The biggest one is the Civic Democrats, ODS. Now, they are part of the ECR, European Conservatives and Reformists. It's Václav Klaus's old party. They got over 100 of the seats. They did quite well. Now, a lot of people say that that party's not as good as it used to be, that it's drifting more towards the establishment conservative column as opposed to the conservative party it once was under Klaus. But they're part of an electoral alliance called Together, which is ODS, the Christian Democrats, a group called Top 9, and then a bunch of other teeny tiny parties. Then you've got STAN, which is the alliance of mayors and independent candidates. And they were launched not so long ago as a big tent anti-corruption party, one of these cookie cutter anti-corruption parties that pop up all the time in Central and Eastern Europe. And usually their people turn out to be the most corrupt of all. And they've already had members in big corruption scandals. It's a total joke. But they're part of the EPP, which is the center-right grouping in the EU run by Manfred Weber, who's part of the CDU. Now, here's the bombshell. The biggest left-wing party in the Czech Republic is the Pirate Party, led by Ivan Bartoš. Now, Bartoš totally is not affiliated with Antifa. He just accidentally poses with Antifa flags all the time, shows up at Antifa events, goes to Antifa punk rock concerts in Leipzig, but totally not Antifa. His party was wiped out. They were the biggest left-wing party. They went from 99 seats to 3. Total wipeout. And he just resigned as leader of the party. Now, I talked about this party before. There's a huge backstory here. In the lead up to the 2021 election, STAN, the independent alliance of mayors and independent candidates, this anti-corruption coalition, they formed an electoral coalition with the Pirate Party. At the time, the Pirate Party actually had 11% of the Czech assembly. STAN only had like 5 or 6%. And mainstream media in Europe was hyping the Pirate Party like crazy. They were fantasizing about this Antifa punk rocker becoming the next prime minister of the Czech Republic. And the media could have not been more stupid. So in a Czech general election, you vote for, either a party or a coalition of parties, but then you can also vote for individual candidates. And so these coalitions, they'll agree on a list of candidates, but then the individual candidate votes can boost certain people up the list, and which in turn makes other people come down. Well, what was being called the mayors and pirates, they got like 16% of the vote, but the Pirate Party only got 4 seats. They went from 22 seats to 4. The mayors and independents, I think, got 37 seats. They went way up. Almost all the seats went to Stan. They completely outmaneuvered and humiliated the Pirate Party, and in turn humiliated the media, because the media never saw that coming. Also on the left, you have the Social Democrats and some small allied parties losing 20 seats and only getting 17. The Green Party had 6 seats and lost them all. Then you have the enigma of the Communist Party of Bohemia and Moravia. Now, this is a Marxist party. I think there's a lot of Soviet nostalgia involved, especially among the older members. But on social issues, they're very conservative. Anti-immigration, anti-gay marriage, and they have now split with their EU grouping. They're an independent, non-attached party in the EU Parliament. They were part of the left, which is a bunch of rebranded ex-communist parties, such as Die Linke in Germany. But a lot of those parties are now more interested in transgender children than they are actual Marxist economics. So they're unattached in the EU now. And in the last EU election, they ran as a coalition with some other teeny tiny parties called Enough. And these other parties are the same thing. They're all Marxist economics, but anti-immigration, anti-gay marriage, nationalism. The Enough coalition got 40 seats, a gain of 27. So the actual leftist parties were a total wipeout. The only ones that could be called left in an economic sense that gained seats are the ones that are really conservative on social issues. There's another 7 seats that went to miscellaneous parties, but basically ANO and the SPD's coalition, combined they got almost 50%. And then the center-right parties got over 40%. Now, at the same time, they had round 1 of voting for 27 of the Czech Republic's 81 Senate seats. 5 of those seats were won outright. 2 of them went to members of ANO. Of the 22 that will go to round 2 next week, ANO is competing for 19 of them. So ANO is expected to dominate in the election of these 27 new Senate seats as well. And as I said at the beginning, we've got the Austrian general election coming up, which should be explosive. The Austrian Freedom Party has been polling in first place for a long time. All right, click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about all this, and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.